Suddenly appearing in Tunisia wearing parkas, it's the IGN Digigods. Please welcome two men who will never understand the mysteries of Lost, Mark Kaiser and Wade Major.
Oh my goodness, that's a change. Someone actually contributed an opening that puts me second. They changed it. Corey, who would have the unmitigated audacity?
That was brought to you by Ashley Fakava, who, in a strange show of sympathy, put Mark first. Thank you, Ashley.
Ashley, thank you. Really, we've been doing this show for 7 years, and
yes.
I've never been first. And it's funny because when Corey read the intro, it just sounded wrong.
Yes.
Because you're used to hearing your name
true.
first.
It's a display of sympathy.
I believe that a coup is underway.
It is a coup.
Yes.
We got to get right into it because we got a Vox box. We're getting Vox boxes. Gods at Digigods.com. Gods at Digigods.com. People sending in the Vox boxes. Do a Vox box. And if you're too shy, send us a regular email, and we'll try to get around to that as well. We got a few of those this week, so we're going to get right into it. Mark, what is that gigantic DVD monstrosity that you have staring you in the face?
This is a must-buy for any Grateful Dead fan.
Oh my gosh!
This is a huge 14 DVD set, not Blu-ray, but a DVD set called Grateful Dead: All the Years Combined. Now, this is pretty much. This has about 38 hours of Grateful Dead live footage.
That's nothing to a Grateful Dead fan.
I know. It's like a drop in the bucket.
That's a drop in the bucket. People who used to go to Grateful Dead concerts and tape, which I guess doesn't really happen anymore, because they don't really tour anymore, right? It's like ever since Jerry Garcia died, he died, they just stopped touring. Is that what the deal is, or do they still occasionally do a Jerry Garcia tribute?
Well, sometimes a couple will get together and play a gig here and there, but they don't really. They're not what they were.
I remember, when we used to write for Entertainment Today, John Salazar, who was then the editor, was a big Grateful Dead fan. He had like thousands of tapes that he would go and he'd tape with his microphone and the whole thing. And I remember he came back from a concert once and he goes, "Oh, it's not good news. Jerry's carrying around a little black briefcase again."
Oh yeah, you know what that briefcase was filled with. Anyway, 14 DVDs, fantastic. There's even in this set one of the discs is So Far. Now, So Far was originally released on VHS and Laserdisc in 1987.
No kidding.
And has never seen the light of day on DVD until this moment, 2012. Wow. So that is a big deal. But we have concerts here from 87 in Oakland and from East Troy, Wisconsin in 89 up through the 90s. And there's really nothing here past, 1991, I don't think.
Wow.
So this is great stuff. It also includes the Grateful Dead movie, which was released in 1977. And so this is and a documentary. There's a bonus disc with a documentary from 92. So this is definitive stuff. If you like the Grateful Dead, then first of all, tune in, drop out. What was that thing? Tune in, drop out? That Warhol thing, whatever?
Yeah, what it is.
Drop acid. It was like a drop acid thing.
It should be noted that the Grateful Dead movie, by the way, did come out on Blu-ray last year in November. So that part of this is available on Blu-ray.
Yes, but still,
if you
come
want.
on.
But I mean, still, this is you don't need this on Blu-ray. This is definitive. This is pretty rad.
It's great. It also comes with a 40-page booklet that is a bunch of bunch of photos and essays. And I'm telling you, man, this is the deal.
Very nice.
Grateful Dead, all the years combined. If you are a Grateful Dead fan, the only thing I wish was that it was on Blu-ray, only because 14 DVDs would be like 4 Blu-rays.
Rock on.
Instead, we have a gigantic brick.
Rock on, Shout Factory. That's very impressive.
We love Shout Factory.
We do. Yes, we do. Also have a couple of docs we're going to just make quick mention of right here at the top of the show. From BBC Earth is Frozen Planet. This is a complete series 3-disc set on Blu-ray, and it's got a nice little lenticular cover that shows. It looks like the penguins and the polar bears and the orcas are all doing a little dance together. Did you hear this, Mark? They find out now there are more polar bears now than there used to be. They're not dying after all. They're multiplying.
Well, great. Let's kill them. Let's hunt them for sport now. They are available for sport hunting.
That's what happens when you take an animal off the endangered species list. Yay! Let's go get a gun. Anyway, apparently they're multiplying like crazy. No, this is BBC Earth is just it sort of has set the amazing standard for all of this nature documentary stuff, and on Blu-ray it's just really fabulous. This is just gorgeous stuff. Really, really well done. And of course, this is all thanks mainly to David Attenborough, who has just done an amazing job over the decades in keeping everybody's attention on this stuff. And it's wonderful. He narrates it, and it's the same team that's done all of these things, so it's just great. A lot of good extras here. There's a cool video diaries collection of little video shorts, probably about like 4 dozen of them, and a bunch of very, very cool featurettes. And then we also have that's maybe just a notch below is a thing called Born to be Wild, which was originally an IMAX film, and this is a Blu-ray DVD ultraviolet combo set. Not quite up to the BBC level, but still very entertaining. And this is essentially the idea here is to sort of explore human-animal connections. Stop it, Mark. Don't get dirty. And it's narrated by Morgan Freeman because, of course, he did March of the Penguins, and he has that nature narration voice now. He's getting pigeonholed. And you're in Borneo, and you're in Africa, and you're learning how humans love animals, and animals love humans. And of course, there's no footage of any chimpanzees ripping off human genitals, as they are prone to do. As they are wont to do.
And you know what? I'm right there with them.
Of course you are. What you got there, Mark?
Oh, we got 2 sports. We have 1 sports Blu-ray and 1 sports DVD. Now, Wade, here's the thing. 2011 in baseball, very exciting postseason. And the reason I know this is because I missed all of it and had to read about it the next day.
Okay. The Mets are already out of it, aren't they?
Yeah, actually, the Mets are not bad. The Mets are right now, I believe. No, the Mets are like 7-4.
I'm just laughing because Mike Rotman, our dear Stupid for Movies producer, he had a Facebook post. You probably didn't even see this. He goes, first day of the season and the Mets are already out of it.
Oh, no. Oh, I saw it. But the funny thing is that the Mets, although ultimately we're a 500 team, we're not going to go anywhere, but there's actually a blip of hope because a lot of these young players who came up through the farm system are starting to develop a little bit.
How about those Dodgers?
I know. Matt Kemp. Boy, Matt Kemp.
Unbelievable.
That guy's unbelievable. All right, I'm not quite sure how real the Dodgers are either. The Mets are definitely not real, but the Dodgers a little less real. Anyway, Game 6 of the 2011 World Series, one of the best World Series games ever played. At least that's what they tell me because I was on a date at the time and I missed it. I was on a date with a South African girl at Chaya in by Cedar Sinai, and so literally we're eating our food, and I see that the Texas Rangers are about to win their very first World Series. I can see it on the TV at the bar, and we're eating dinner in the restaurant. So I say to her, I'm really sorry. Do you mind if I just get up and just walk to the bar and see the last out? The Texas Rangers are about to win the World Series for the first time in their history. And she says, okay, sure. I walk up, and of course, the Rangers, don't win. The Cardinals stay alive. And this went on throughout most of our dinner, and in the end, I missed the David Freese home run, which was like the heart-stopping comeback of all time. But if I did want to watch it in its entirety, I could watch it on this Blu-ray.
Wow.
Baseball's Greatest Games.
No kidding.
St. Louis Cardinals 2011 World Series Game 6.
Say it ain't so.
It is so, and I have to say that of all the major sports, baseball does the best multimedia job.
Yeah, they do.
They put all their stuff out on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Not DVD. They put the stuff out on Blu-ray. The MLB app for the iPad and the iPhone, they're great. I have them both. I can stream any baseball game I want, except ones that are in the LA market, like the Dodgers or the Angels.
Right.
But any game I want, I can stream it on my TV, on my iPad, or on my iPhone. They're great.
Cranking.
Anyway, so Baseball's Greatest Game, St. Louis Cardinals 2011 World Series Game 6, is an all-time World Series classic. I wish I had seen it. On the bottom end of the pro sports multimedia scale is hockey. Hockey still, the NHL still releases DVDs, not Blu-rays, and it's just it just seems so tossed off and no thought put into it. Here we have something called Road to Victory, the '94 New York Rangers story. Now, the Rangers in the mid-'90s were a pretty unstoppable team. They had Mark Messier, Brian Leach, Mike Richter, so it was a great team. And, in '94 they won it all, and this is all about them winning it all, the Road to Victory. The '94 New York Rangers story, again, I wish the NHL would. The problem is that these DVDs, they're multimedia. They almost treat the sport like the second-tier sport that it has become.
Yeah.
Whereas baseball's done a great job, and football's done a good job. And football and basketball have done kind of a middle-tier job.
Have you ever watched any of those third-tier sports networks? Like where people will be doing, you're like lumberjack competition. It is the worst sports commentary ever. And you even get to like lacrosse games. Like when you get into Ivy League lacrosse competition, in terms of the camera work, the directing, the commentary, it's almost embarrassing.
Well, I remember years ago when ESPN2 and ESPN3 launched.
3 is online only.
Right.
Yeah.
Or ESPN2 launched. It was like, what are you going to do for 24 hours on ESPN2?
Yeah,
They don't have any major sports, so wind up with a bunch of crap.
The only time it comes in handy for me, actually, is whenever it's World Cup soccer.
Dud.
Thank you.
No one cares. Final score 1-0.
There you go. All right. Mark, I'm going to put the television in your hands. Get that ready while I blow through the latest Miramax library release.
That's what you should do, Wade. And we have a Vox Box later. By the way, we also have some big name, big studio releases to talk about.
We got some big stuff. We got some good stuff.
There's one we're about a week late on, but they just sent it to us. But
we're good.
We did check it out, so we're good now.
And a bunch of Miramax stuff, a bunch of Miramax catalog stuff has come out from Echo Bridge, and we always like to roll down this because these things are back in print. And this is stuff, much of it which was never in print, and a lot of it which is back in print. Since the transition from Disney over to the new entity, the new Miramax. And Talk of Angels is actually a pretty good movie. I remember this at the time. I don't think I was overly impressed by it at the time, but considering how bad movies have gotten, I kind of like it now. And especially because everybody in it is sort of, it's got Polly Walker and Frances McDormand and Vincent Perez. And it's even got Penelope Cruz. She wasn't that big of a deal at the time, but she's a big deal now. So it's kind of nice in hindsight. You look at this and you go, wow, that's not such a bad movie at all. Directed by Nick Hamm, who kind of fell off the map. I was really hoping he'd really get his career in gear. But anyway, really a smart little film and a nice period film. And you should definitely check it out. This was back when Miramax had a lot of little period action going on, and I kind of miss those movies. You don't get as many of them anymore. We also have some big compilation sets here. One of them is a high-powered action pack. This is a Blu-ray that features 6 films on it that have next to nothing to do with any of the other films. It's a real hodgepodge, but if you like at least a few of these, it might be worth the investment. You got the Lookout with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and Hidden Assassin with Dolph Lundgren, Jackie Chan in the horrible dubbed version of Super Cop, Charlie Sheen in No Code of Conduct, The Yards, directed by our good friend James Gray, and then Equilibrium with Christian Bale and Taye Diggs. Very strange. I don't know why they would choose these films to put together. I don't know for whom this is created, but I'm sure somebody out there will see this in a bargain bin and pick it up. A little more sensible is a collection of 4 Pokemon films. They aren't really that well chosen. They're all kind of the same. And I really still don't. There's no point in mentioning Pokemon Heroes, Forever, Jirachi, Destiny, Deoxys. I don't know how many Pokemon movies there are. I still don't understand the world of Pokemon. None of it makes sense to me. But if you love Pokemon, there it is. And then for people who love the Prophecy series, we were talking before the show, like, really, there are that many Prophecy films? I guess there must be. Christopher Walken kind of hit with the first Prophecy, and then they went and made a bunch of others that slipped right below everybody's radar. You've got the Prophecy Uprising, Prophecy 3, The Ascent, and the Prophecy Forsaken, all kind of packed together on a Miramax multi-feature Blu-ray. And then you also have 11 films, all Prophecy and Hellraiser films, on a DVD combo. This is really no point in distinguishing between any of them because it's just Christopher Walken being creepy and then that Pinhead guy being creepy, and it's all packed onto one very, very creepy DVD. Jackie Chan in Operation Condor 2, The Armor of God. Now, this, again, is a horrible dubbed version that the new Miramax clearly has not seen any reason to fix from the way it was released previously. I always urge people, go to the original source, watch the Cantonese language version of The Armor of God, and Operation Condor, The Armor of God Part 2. It's not Operation Condor 2. This is the way that they screwed with the titles over here. So I do not recommend that even on Blu-ray. And then we made mention of Equilibrium previously. This is a double feature that packs that Equilibrium movie onto a double feature with Renaissance. Now, the only reason I'm going to marginally recommend this is because Renaissance, even though it's not a very good movie, it's still kind of a cool, weird, mocap animation-y thing that I think everybody's sort of forgotten about. So it's worth at least a rental if you missed it the first time. Renaissance, Daniel Craig does one of the voices. He's kind of the lead voice. It takes place in Paris in the year 2054, and it's a totally black and white animated film. And when I say black and white, I mean there aren't even shades of gray in this thing. It's just completely stark. And it's almost too stark, but it is a cool experiment, and there's some very cool effects in it. Halloween Resurrection, not one of the better entries in the Halloween series, but that's on Blu-ray for those who care. Rick Rosenthal, who directed it, not a terrible director. It just kind of, suffers from not being... This is the one that brought back Jamie Lee Curtis to the franchise, and that was supposed to be a little bit special, but it winds up being kind of a rehash. Into Deep was actually not such a bad film at the time. I thought it was crap when I saw it, and taking a look at it again, you know what? I got to be honest with you. I really like LL Cool J. The guy's grown on me. I think he's a great actor, and I think he's really good in this.
Great actor?
I think he's a great actor. I think he's...
De Niro, Daniel Day-Lewis.
Like Spencer Tracy, Cary Grant. Yeah, I think he's a great actor. Wow. LL Cool J and Omar Epps in Too Deep, which is, look, I mean, it's kind of boilerplate action film stuff, but, it's got Pam Grier in it as well, and that's always good for something with me. And then lastly, we have on Blu-ray and on DVD this thing called Road Racers. It's funny because Robert Rodriguez just... This came completely out of left field. Did this even get a theatrical release, do you know?
It did not.
What's the story on that? Why did this not get a theatrical release? I mean, it's a Robert Rodriguez film.
Yeah,
I thought everything he did got at least some kind of a marginal release.
Everybody at this point has stuff released straight to video. Everybody.
It's so weird. Well, anyway, this is something that Robert Rodriguez did back in 1994 and went completely under the radar. I mean, in 94, he should have been getting this theatrically released. It's so strange. Anyway, you know what? It's this kind of prefigures what he was eventually going to do in From Dusk Till Dawn in some respects. David Arquette and Salma Hayek are a very peculiar couple in this, and David Arquette certainly is not he's not quite right for the part. He's kind of a James Deany character, but Salma Hayek is always wonderful, especially when she does stuff in Rodriguez films, even if she does just a little bit, dancing topless and then turning into a vampire. But anyway, it's stylish. It's kind of it means to be a rebel film, kind of biker exploitation film throwback. Doesn't quite work, doesn't have any extras on it, but it's an interesting anomaly. And, in terms of kind of if you want to be a completist with Rodriguez's oeuvre, then it might be worth checking out. But definitely better in Blu-ray than on DVD, though not great on either of them in terms of the transfer.
Wow, Wade, you blew through that.
I did. I rocked it.
You did. Now we got so what should we do next? Should we do this TV stuff? Should we do Vox Box? Should we do the new movies? You pick it, Wade. It's Wade's choice.
Let's crank through this TV, and then we'll probably be time for Vox Box, and we'll wrap it up with the great new films.
We have all those too. Wait, we got all those.
Well, yeah. Actually, yeah. We'll get through as much as we can.
Okay. All right, Wade, Logan's Run was a movie that I loved as a kid. I have to say, if I watched it now, I think it would be absolutely horrible, although I will always love it. It will always have a place in my heart for Logan's Run. This, however, is not the movie. This is the TV show, which premiered in September of 1977.
Yes.
It lasted for about 14 episodes.
Yes.
This is a little bit better than most of these types of spin-off shows, only because there were a bunch of Star Trek writers involved in this. The story editor was D.C. Fontana.
Yeah.
And David Gerald wrote an episode.
Oh, my gosh. Flashback.
And Harlan Ellison wrote an episode.
Holy cow.
Oh, my God.
I feel bad not liking this series now.
That's redunculous. So, and although it does have Gregory Harrison. And
Gregory Harrison. Didn't he wind up playing Dr. Gonzo Gates on Trapper John M.D.?
He did.
I think he did.
He did. But you know what? He was Logan. He was Logan 5.
I'm showing my age.
You are.
People,
Anyway,
we have people who are probably listening to this podcast going, Doctor Who on what?
all I know
That's
is
not even on DVD yet.
that is true.
Trapper John MD. That was a cool show.
Never saw it. Anyway, this is Logan's Run, the complete series on DVD. This is not a bad show. You may want to check it out if you're a total Star Trek completist. You may want to see some of DC Fontana and David Gerald's work, along with Harlan Ellison, who wrote one episode.
What a weird time it was that Logan's Run and Planet of the Apes wound up becoming TV series.
Awesome.
Short-lived TV series, mind you. Such a weird time in the 70s.
Awesome.
So bizarre.
Tyler Perry's Meet the Browns is another piece of crap in the Tyler Perry
Oh my gosh.
over.
How many seasons is this up to now? Which one is that?
Well, it's funny because on the spine of the box,
Yeah.
for everyone to see, it doesn't just say season 5. On the
Yes.
spine of the box, it says episodes 81 to 100,
Oh, jeez.
as if that number means
Something to somebody.
anybody.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is 3 discs. It's a bunch of episodes of this terrible show.
Oh, gosh.
I respect Tyler Perry and what he has carved out for himself, but I just think he's terrible. The Dark Shadows movie's coming out soon with Johnny Depp.
And it looks terrible.
I think it looks fine. You know why? I saw the trailer. It made me laugh because I know nothing about Dark Shadows. It looks like the Beetlejuice sequel that Tim Burton never got to make.
It's going to suck.
I'm sure it's going to suck. But
I'm on radio talking about it that day. So wait, it's the 4th, right? Opens the 4th or the 11th?
The 11th.
See, I'm not on radio. I'm on the 4th. I'm talking about the Avengers.
You haven't gotten the invite to those, have you?
No, but I will. No, I'm on the 4th talking about the Avengers, so I'm going to miss Dark Shadows. Darn it. I wanted to rip on it.
Anyway, MPI, they're no fools. They have released a Dark Shadows compilation, 2
Yeah.
Dark Shadows compilation DVDs, one called The Best of Barnabas, and I believe that's the name of the ghost. I don't know what the hell he is. And Dark Shadows fan favorites. And there you go.
He plays the ghost.
The ghost? What is
He's
it?
a vampire.
Yeah, whatever.
Oh gosh! And there's also a complete Dark Shadows Mega Mondo Ultra set that is coming out as well, which we're trying to get. It's going to be very, very tough to get hold of a copy, but we're doing our best. Just know that we're doing
thank
our
God.
best.
Thank God, Wade.
Yeah.
Speaking of thank God, we have a little thing called Eagle Heart. Now, Eagle Heart is a really funny show with Chris Elliott. Now, if you're a Chris Elliott fan, and Wade, tell me you're not a Chris Elliott fan. Come on.
You know what? I look. I love the whole family. I love Bob Elliott, right? This is Dad Bob, Ken and Bob, right? Yeah.
And by the way, his daughter,
Allison, not Allison.
Chris Elliott's daughter,
is on Saturday Night Live.
she's attractive, isn't she?
Yes, she is. She's very funny. She does a very, very funny Kardashian impression.
Anyway, Eagle Heart is a live-action comedy show. It's on what's it called, Adult Swim. It's done by Conan O'Brien's production company, so it is. It's got a funny pedigree. These are short-form episodes. These are not full-length, half-hour deals. So I have to say that I think this show is really funny. It's sort of it's a bit of a, what's it called, like
Turd.
like a Walker Texas Ranger type thing.
Oh, yeah.
He's the Eagle, where Chris Elliott's he's this U.S. Marshal and he fights crime. He's got 2 partners. And there's really funny stuff in it. You know, you got 15 minutes, so you got to pack the comedy in. So it's really dense with comedy. Chris Elliott, it's nice to see him back doing his thing. So I would recommend at least a rental for Eagle Heart, because it also includes the pilot,
Nice.
which did not air. It was a non-airing pilot, and it includes it. We have 2 old shows with new seasons out on DVD. One, Adam 12, the final season of Adam 12. This show is really running out of gas by the time it hit season 7. This, of course, was created by Jack Webb, who was the Dragnet guy. The Dragnet guy.
I used to watch Adam 12 every afternoon after school while I was eating hot dogs.
I did remember. Oh, is that what they call gay sex?
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We it's been nice. It's been great having you as fans all these years, and best of luck.
Best of luck. Anyway, Adam 12, the final season. It was great at the beginning, and it just sort of petered out at the end for me. This was 24 episodes from season 7. Over and out for Adam 12. Also,
Martin Milner was a great bad guy in 8 Men Out. I'm just saying.
Martin Milner to me will always be near and dear to my heart because Martin Milner
Yes.
was in Sweet Smell of Success.
That's right. He sure was.
And he was awesome in it.
Yep. But he was also great in 8 Men Out.
That is true. Well, but by the time he was doing 8 Men Out, his face was getting a little bit rounder and thicker and older.
Yeah.
And you're like, God, look what happened to Martin Milner. Even back then.
True.
Anyway, Laverne and Shirley, season 5. Now, Laverne and Shirley does not have a very stellar DVD record. This thing has been coming out in fits and starts, and there's not a lot of special features on these things, and it's Paramount, CBS DVD. They're not really treating these all that well. So we have, by the way,
Schlemazel.
Back in the day, I thought Cindy Williams was cute.
She was.
I admit it.
Still is.
No, she's not.
Have you seen her lately?
Oh, she's got to be like 65 years old.
Hubba.
Oh my God, Michael McKean, of course, and David Lander as Lenny and Squiggy. Love it.
Hello.
I like this show.
Hello.
I love this show. Penny
Fun.
Marshall, Cindy Williams. This is good stuff. Anyway, 25 episodes from season 5. It includes a Happy Days episode that had to do with Laverne and Shirley. And the episodic promos, I love the episode promos. Coming up next week on Laverne and Shirley, wackiness ensues, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Love it. They have all those on this DVD. Anyway, good stuff, Laverne and Shirley. And
Bravo.
Penny Marshall, of course, became a very popular, famous, successful movie director.
And you can see her just on television weekly. Did you know that?
No.
Any Clipper game, she's sitting around just wearing sweats and watching them play.
She has not aged well. Oh, my God. There are... I'm being such a jerk now, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Yeah.
There are 2 actresses from our youths who did not age well.
Yes.
I mean, not just didn't age well, aged incredibly poorly.
Well, I know Farrah's one of them.
No.
She looks like hell today.
No, well, she's decomposing now.
Yeah.
There's 2. Penny Marshall looks horrifying.
Yeah.
Even worse, God love her. She's hilarious. I hear her voice every week, almost every week on The Simpsons. But if you actually see Marsha Wallace. Marsha Wallace was on the Bob Newhart show.
Oh, yeah.
If you actually see Marsha, and Marsha Wallace does the...
she does the voice in The Simpsons?
She does the voice of Mrs. Krabappel.
Does she really?
Mm-hmm.
Look at that.
You didn't know that?
No.
If you actually see Marsha Wallace, what she looks... And I've seen her in person, because I've seen her... She does, she does a lot of comedy, whatever. She's 69 years old. God love her. Hilarious woman. Has not aged well. She's aged horribly. Really funny. Makes me laugh on the show. God love her. We need female comedians like that to last forever. I'm just saying, really ugly.
Okay.
What did you just look up?
I just looked her up. I just want to see if there are any pictures.
Are there?
It's all doctored. Yeah.
All right. Anyway,
last 2.
Discovery has a show called Man vs. Wild with this guy, Bear Grylls. I don't know who this guy is. All I know is that Bear Grylls is on like a deodorant commercial. You know what they have now on okay. There's this new thing now in reality TV where they follow ice truckers and people who rummage through garbage. They have this new show called Wicked Tuna.
Yeah.
It's on Nat Geo.
Yeah.
And it's about these Boston-based crews who go out and catch bluefish tuna.
Right. And?
I mean, they catch tuna.
Okay.
That's the show.
Okay.
Stop it. Coming up next, the homeless people off the end of the Santa Monica Pier who fish for guppies off the end of the pier in Santa Monica. I mean, come on, stop it. Well, anyway, Man vs. Wild. This is Man vs. Wild top 25 man moments. This is, I don't know.
Whatever.
Can we just stop it already with the reality TV? James May's Man Lab Season 1, actually Series 1, because it is all Britishal. It's all Britishal. Oh, my God. Anyway, this is all about it's this guy James May, and he does all these challenges with dangerous materials. It's
like a Fear Factor deal.
It's more like it's a bit of inventing. It's a bit of comedy. It's like he does like the electric train toilet paper delivery system.
So it's like
he builds it and tests it out. It's
like Fear Factor meets the Antiques Roadshow meets the car show.
Top Gear.
Top Gear, thank you.
Well, the James May is from Top Gear.
Right, got it.
So James May's from Top Gear. He teaches you how to do stuff that's cool, like I don't know, build a kitchen, but with stuff that is even cooler, like defusing a bomb.
Okay.
He'll give you all that stuff.
Groovy.
And so it's a really fun, unique show. BBC does a fair amount of not strict comedy programming, but programming with a comedic edge to it. And I think they don't get a lot of credit for that. But Man Lab is one of those shows, so it's kind of worth a rental if you're into that. If you're into Top Gear and you're into like MythBusters and Irreverent British Humor, I would go for James May's Man Lab Series 1.
Groovin' swanky. All right, well, we're going to read some listener mail right now, and then segue into a Vox Box, then wrap everything up. And we're going to start off with something we got from Jason McAtee. My grandmother was a McAtee. Jason, you may be one of my long-lost relatives.
Wait a minute. You know what? Didn't Joe Esterhaus write a script about the McAtees that Mel Gibson was going to do?
we don't have time to get into that. We really don't.
It's the best.
It's a developing story. Seriously, just go online and search Joe Esterhaus and Mel Gibson, and you'll laugh yourselves to sleep for the next week and a half.
Laugh yourselves to sleep. How does that happen?
You'll suffocate. It's too funny. Jason McAtee writes, says, I am a huge Clint Eastwood fan, and except for his early cameo work, I have all of his films either on DVD or Blu-ray, except Thunderbolt and Lightfoot. Copies are now soaring over $60 used, and I refuse to pay that. Is there any news on this one? Seems strange this is the only Eastwood film that remains out of print, which I had no idea about. That was news to me. And, it's been 12 years since it was released on DVD, and nothing's been done since. I said to him that this has to mean one of two things, that they're either preparing for a Blu-ray release or that MGM is going to shuffle it over to their manufacturer-on-demand MOD library, which I can't imagine that they would do, especially since Michael Cimino has a certain amount of cachet still as a name. So, MGM is coming out of their horrible bankruptcy situation and slowly ramping up. So I'm sure that'll get some traction at some point in the future, but it's anybody's guess when. But that was a really good question, so thank you for that. And next we have, by the way, a number of people emailed us about when the last two seasons of The Muppet Show are going to come out. Because everybody thought, there's the last two seasons, 4 and 5, have never come out on DVD. 1, 2, and 3 have, 4 and 5 are not there, and it's been years. And everybody thought, well, with the Muppet movie, the new film and Jason Segel and all that, surely they'll try to capitalize it, but they didn't. So that's really, we have no answer to that. It's a mystery. We thought that they'd do that too, and nobody really knows.
Better, because you want to know who some of the guests were on season 4 of the Muppets?
Who?
Shields and Yarnell.
Oh, so awesome! They were the best show ever.
But also cool people like Diana Ross, Alan Arkin, Dizzy Gillespie. Wow, that's cool.
Yeah,
but
they got to get that going.
John Denver.
They got to get that going.
They really do. I love the Muppets. I was so glad the Muppet movie was good.
I was too. Ben Thompson writes this and says, I recently reached the poopa. I recently watched Manhunter and found that I liked it just as much, if not more, than Silence of the Lambs. I have also seen Hannibal, which wasn't nearly as good as either. My question is, would you recommend seeing Red Dragon, or would it ruin Manhunter at all? Also, what do you think of the Hannibal series on Hannibal series Blu-rays? I think the Hannibal series Blu-rays are fine. They're acceptable if you like all the films. Otherwise, just get the ones you like. But I think both of us pretty much concur that Red Dragon is a piece of S. Yeah.
Is a piece of S?
Yeah, as you would say.
Yeah, well, because it was Brett Ratner.
Yeah.
Who would hire Brett Ratner to do that film? Doesn't that just seem odd?
It's idiotic.
Who would hire Brett Ratner to do any film? Does Brett Ratner realize how hated he is? He must.
I don't think he cares. He hires hookers. And Jason Crunez. We called him Croons, rhymes with prunes, when Corey read his name on a previous opening. This is Jason Crunez. Says, hey guys, I'm sure you've heard how 20th Century Fox pulled the trailer and advertising for Neighborhood Watch given the whole Trayvon Martin incident. So it got me thinking as to other times when studios may have pulled a film or delayed its release due to something in the news or a current event that's totally coincidental. I couldn't think of any, though I'm sure there must have been a few after 9/11. Wondering if you knew of any famous examples. Can you think of any?
You know what? It's not the studio, but I was reminded of Clockwork Orange.
Yeah.
Which Kubrick pulled.
From the UK.
Because there was some
murders.
copycat
murders, yeah.
But you're right. There was a lot of sensitivity regarding 9/11 for movies that had shots at the towers.
Yeah.
But I cannot really think of a studio that had pulled a film.
I can't either.
You know?
That's a great question, and we're just totally drawing blanks on it. He said, I also saw Richard Ayoade. I don't even know how to pronounce the guy's name. Ayoade. Anyway, the guy that did Submarine. Will be in Neighborhood Watch. I know you guys really enjoyed his directorial debut, Submarine, but wonder if you have checked out The It Crowd, the British sitcom he starred in, which we actually covered the first season of that, and I'll be damned if I even remember what we said about it. You know, it was like a year and a half ago, and I the vaguest recollection. He says, I know there was an American version which never got off the ground, but I'm not sure the UK original series aired in the States or was released on DVD. I think it's the funniest live-action comedy from the U.S. or the U.K. in the last decade or so, which is, I'm definitely going to keep an eye out for the next time we get a season of it. And then lastly, before we get into our Vox Box, longtime listener Eric Altieri says, I was watching my brand new Game of Thrones Blu-ray and I noticed something peculiar, and this is an important email. During one particular scene, one of the characters' dialogue is subtitled because he's not speaking the common tongue, English, of course. This is nothing remarkable, however. Out of nowhere, the phrase crowd cheering appears underneath one of his lines. What is going on, I thought. I didn't mess with any of the dialogue or subtitle settings before I started watching, so I assumed this must be some kind of error in programming the disc. In fact, I remember seeing things like this happen a few times. How do errors like this happen? Don't they check things like this before releasing the discs? The answer is very often no. They don't QC everything on the disc. What probably happened there, and people need to understand sort of how discs are mastered. There's a subtitle track. And it's what my guess is that they cheaped out, and instead of having two separate subtitle tracks, one to go for just the non-English dialogue in the scenes when you're watching it in English to be toggled on and off. I think what they did was that they have a feature where the actual the full English and audio subtitle track for the hearing impaired just can be programmed to branch the pieces of it in every once in a while. And because that contains all of that kind of additional commentary, crowd cheering, and so forth, that winds up being inadvertently imported into those moments when somebody happens to be speaking something other than English. So it's really not that somebody made a mistake. It's that it's that they kind of cheaped out and decided to only go with one subtitle track, when in fact they really probably should have gone with two.
I used to have that problem occasionally in the early days of DVD. The early days of DVD, you used to see that. Like suddenly there'd be like some hearing impaired subtitle, verbiage.
Yeah.
Music begins or music playing or crowd cheers.
Yeah.
And you would have to cycle through your subtitles to get it to go away.
And see, and our listeners
I don't see it that much anymore.
And our listeners should understand that this is why Mark and I hate the handicapped. This is why
it's true.
We really do, and we really have just an incredible gripe against anyone who's disabled, and we really wish that they'd all just go away.
And you know what? They really should be called handy incapable.
That's it. Absolutely. All right, and now, Mark, we're going to have...
Is it time?
It's time.
For what?
For...
It's Vox Box.
Hi, Mark and Wade. Shawal Dixon. I have 3 questions. My first is, after the upcoming Brave, Pixar's next film will be Monsters University. Do you think that Monsters Inc. should have a sequel? Personally, I'm not sure. My second question is, what Pixar film would you like to see a sequel to? Mine would be The Incredibles. And my third kind of ties to animated films. Should animated film directors be up for Oscars for Best Director? What are your thoughts? Thank you.
Chevelle, 3 excellent questions. Thank you for the Vox Box. I'm going to give you... Well, Mark, let's just alternate with these questions. The first is Monsters, Inc. Should it have a sequel? I don't think so. I mean, it obviously lends itself to it, but I don't really feel the need for it to have a sequel.
I'm going to say no, even though somebody who I worked with briefly, Rhett Reese, very talented writer, he actually got an additional screenplay credit on Monsters, Inc., yes. Yeah. Very nice guy, and he got a credit on it. Also, the screenplay was credited to Andrew Stanton.
Yes, true.
Whose career has taken a turn for the worse.
I really want it to be good because it certainly makes more sense as a franchise than Cars, but I don't think... But I'm going to agree with Chevelle. I think The Incredibles, that totally lends itself to a sequel. I wanted to see where that family went. I wanted to see the next step in their... where are they going to take it? I'm dying to see a sequel to The Incredibles, and I don't know that that's even on the drawing board.
I'm just afraid that with every sequel that Pixar comes out with, they're becoming just another studio that comes out with opportunistic
However,
sequels.
The Incredibles was a Brad Bird film. It's not just a Pixar film; it's a Brad Bird film. And we're going to talk about Brad Bird again in a second. But I would love to see an Incredible sequel, as long as Brad Bird did it, as long as it was his baby. Lastly, absolutely, you know what? Animated films should be eligible for Best Picture and for Best Director. And absolutely. I mean, it's a different kind of filmmaking, but it's filmmaking just the same. What I don't like is that there's a special Oscar category for animated films. That I think is a cheat. They should be forced to, compete for Best Picture just like everything else.
Well, that animated category is not that old.
It's what is it?
90...
7, 8 years old?
Yeah.
10 years old, maybe tops.
We should
something like that. Find out. Spirited Away was the first film that won. Whatever Spirited Away, that was the first year.
Which certainly pissed Disney off.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, well, anyway. Well, thank you, Chevelle. That was a really good VoxBox. If you want to send us emails or VoxBox submissions, send them to gods@digigods.com. That would be gods@digigods.com.
2001.
2001. So there we go. We've had it for 11 years.
Yes.
11 years.
By the way...
10 years, actually. Just 10 years. Yeah.
They really should get rid of it. And it's funny because in the age of animation, and especially in the age of CGI, people are finally wrapping themselves around the fact that you can have great production design that is CGI. Because production design traditionally means you design the town, you take hammer and nails and wood and plastic and glass, and you build the town. That's production design. But CGI is also production design. If you're creating this amazing world using ones and zeros, still production design. And it's taken people a while to accept CGI vistas and CGI towns and CGI cities as having production design. And yet they do. And someday there'll be a film that is like all CGI that is nominated for like Best Production Design or even Best Cinematography.
Which is going to be sad.
Oh, so you're
Sad
not into
day.
that. You don't like that.
No, not at all.
Wow.
You know, quick coordinate. Now we're moving into new movie releases, and as far as some vintage films here, some classics, there's a quartet of Olive releases, which I've got to recommend as most highly. Two of these are two of my favorite all-time Jerry Lewis movies. Can I say that? Two of my favorite all-time Jerry Lewis movies. Thank you, Corey. We're talking, well, the films in question, Who's Minding the Store and It's Only Money. Now, Who's Minding the Store, if you have not seen it, is an first of all, it's charming in all the ways that Jerry Lewis's films were always incredibly charming, but this one is just so unbelievably over the top at the end. Directed by Frank Tashlin, who of course was did a number of Jerry Lewis films and came out of animated films. The finale where Jerry is just destroying the department store is beyond belief. It is so hysterical. It's kind of in the same vein as the Disorderly Orderly and The Delicate Delinquent, and there's a few others that are kind of in this same vein. The Errand Boy. But this one is just absolutely superb, and Agnes Moorehead is a riot in this film. She basically plays the same character as she did on Bewitched. And then It's Only Money is one that nobody really pays much attention to. It's from 1962, and really another great Frank Tashlin effort that's just totally underrated. Jerry Lewis plays a TV repairman, and he wants to become a detective, and it is so charming, so funny, so absolutely fantastic. So both of these are out on Blu-ray and on DVD, but get the Blu-rays. They are absolutely gorgeous, fantastic. Also from Olive on Blu-ray and DVD, highly recommended on the Blu-ray side more than the DVD, Dean Martin and Lana Turner in Who's Got the Action, also starring, believe it or not, Eddie Albert and Walter Matthau. Forget about Dean Martin and Lana Turner. Anything that Walter Matthau is in that has 1960 something in the date, it's just absolutely brilliant. You got to get it. This is a terrific film, and again, totally underrated, totally forgotten from the time. Directed by Daniel Mann, who was a really underrated director from the era as well. Check it out. It's a mobster storyline, but it's it's mobsters and gamblers, but it's just a lot of fun, and everybody in it is having a great time. Frank Sinatra, who figures prominently in the movie that I saw last night, did I mention that it's Colcoa time, and that's why I'm so damn tired?
Colcoa being...
City of Light, City of Angels, French Film Festival here in L.A. at the DGA. Opening night last night was the film My Way, which is all about a French pop legend who died at age 39, named Claude Francois, who wrote the song that became My Way for Frank Sinatra here when it was translated by Paul Anka or rewritten, re-lyricized into English by Paul Anka. Anyway, Frank Sinatra is... a character in the film, and obviously the song figures prominently in that film. But Bud Yorkin, a blast from the past director who did some features and then did a lot in television, working on a screenplay by Norman Lear from a play by Neil Simon. How's that? Frank Sinatra, directed by Bud Yorkin, screenplay by Norman Lear, play by Neil Simon. Come blow your horn. The names, obviously, are more famous than the name of the movie. But it's, not a bad film. 1963, and it's a kind of a standard Sinatra vehicle, but it is still, it's a nice little vintage blast from the past, so that's cool. And then the last of these Olive films is Assault on a Queen, another Sinatra film that is less interesting. A little bit dated. This is one of those Sinatra attempts at doing kind of a thrillery, action-y thing. It's a heist film. It's not a very good heist film. Co-stars Verna Lisi and Tony Franciosa. And it's a, I'd like to say that with the anniversary of the Titanic, that something that deals with trying to hijack a cruise liner would be timely and interesting, but it's not terribly. If you like these films, definitely check them out on Blu-ray. Olive is doing a very good job of taking these Paramount library films and really, burnishing them for Blu-ray. And so I recommend that if you have the choice, go with the Blu-ray always.
Wade, we got a couple left, Wade, but they're big ones.
Yeah, we sure do. Mark, we talked earlier about Brad Bird, the amazing animator. Brad Bird, the brilliant creator of The Iron Giant, and The Incredibles, and Ratatouille. But Brad Bird recently took a big step in a different direction. He
did. He went live action. He directed John Carter, Princess...
No. That's Andrew Stanton. That's the other guy. Sorry. Yeah. Wrong Pixar veteran.
Wrong animated director making his live action debut.
Yes.
That is a 180 swing right there.
Is John Carter really live action?
Yeah, I know.
Really?
Barely.
It's or is it an animated film in which live action people make cameos?
It really is. Brad Bird has reinvigorated, improbably, may I add, has reinvigorated the Mission Impossible franchise with Ghost Protocol. I think that when this film was initially announced, it seemed a little, as we mentioned before, we used this word before, a little mercenary. It seemed like the Mission Impossible franchise was getting tired. As excited as we were by Brad Bird's hiring as director, I think we all thought that they may be going to the well one time too often. But you know what? This film is great. It's a lot of fun. It's incredibly well done. Brad Bird takes his animated eye and winds up being able to replicate it in live action.
Yep.
All the camera work, all the vertiginous camera moves that are so easy in an animated film and seem impossible for a live action film, which is part of the reason why we love animation. A lot of that stuff has been somehow ported over to Mission Impossible. And that's why it's great. And I really like this film a lot. And you know what? I love Tom Cruise. I'm sorry. You know what? If you don't like him, I don't know what to tell you. This guy can do anything.
I missed this in the theater, and I got to admit, I'm bummed that I did because it really works. And I think part of the reason is because they didn't market the story. They just marketed a lot of set pieces and action moments, and you didn't really know what was going on or why. It was just sort of, come see this movie where Tom Cruise is hanging on the side of a building in Dubai. Why? I don't know. Does it matter? Not really. But you know what? He pulled it off. He really did a very nice job.
Got a good cast. Jeremy Renner, who is becoming, Mr. Franchise. He's got the the new Bourne film.
Yep.
Going to be handed over to him.
He's going to get this.
He'll wind up getting Mission Impossible.
And he's Hawkeye in the Avengers.
That's right. This guy is Mr. Franchise. And then Paula Patton. By the way, I saw Paula Patton interviewed, and I've seen her in film. Can I say something about Paula Patton?
Yeah.
She's pretty.
So as opposed
she's pretty.
Not to be confused with Paula Poundstone.
Paula Poundstone, not pretty.
Okay.
Paula Patton,
Pretty.
yep, I'm into it.
Okay.
Yes, in fact,
hear you.
I'll clean her up and send her to my room.
All righty.
Anyway,
Thank you for that.
Because here's the thing.
Yes, sir.
You know, in Mission Impossible 2,
Yes.
they had another African American actress, Tandy Newton.
Yes.
And she was smoking. She was so hot.
Delicious?
No. This is like beyond delicious. That
Oh.
shot where she's in that sports car and she spins out on the
Yeah.
mountain road, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Just unbelievably gorgeous. Now, Paula Patton is much more girl next door.
Sure.
Beautiful. But you know what? Beautiful girl.
Yeah.
Totally beautiful. Anyway, this is a great transfer. This is Blu-ray all the way. Anybody who buys this on DVD needs to be flogged.
Okay.
Because this is all about Blu-ray. This is a great-looking Blu-ray, a great-sounding Blu-ray. This is almost reference material. The Blu-ray includes a DVD and a digital copy. So I suggest that you maybe even buy Ghost Protocol.
Well, there we go.
There it is.
You know, the other big one this week is Shame. Shame is directed by Steve McQueen. No, not the exhumed corpse of the old movie star, but the British artist and filmmaker Steve McQueen, who is really not named Steve McQueen. I don't know what his real name is, but he kind of took that on just because it's what artists do. They just take on names.
But he named himself after Steve McQueen.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He did, intentionally. And so that's who he's known as now. He's known as Steve McQueen. His first film, the friggin' IRA thing, Bobby Sands. That damn thing.
Wait a second. We cannot. Don't stop the recording.
Okay. Came out on Criterion like 6 months ago, and we've already forgotten the title. I blocked it. You know, it drove me crazy. Look it up. His first film.
What's the director's name again?
Steve McQueen. What's his name? My goodness. This is how tired we are.
This is just
We're
horrible.
disintegrating. I turned off the Laker games. They were getting slaughtered, and now we're just disintegrating in the same way.
I know the name of it now.
Go ahead.
Hunger.
Thank you, Hunger. Friggin' Bobby Sands thing, where a guy actually mops the floor for 10 minutes in one shot. I thought that was an excruciatingly boring and self-indulgent movie, and then he talks to his priest for half an hour in one uninterrupted shot. Horrible. But Michael Fassbender, who starred in that film, really has emerged, and we gave him our Best Actor award, LAFCA, last year for like everything that he did, which I thought was a little weird. You know, that we kind of threw Shame and Jane Eyre, lumped it in with.
We do that.
X-Men First Class.
And I don't like when we do that.
I don't
we should
either.
give the actor the award for a specific.
That's all going to
performance.
change. There is going to be a change in that, by the way. Okay. There's going to be a change. So anyway, but you know what? I got to say, they've all come a very long way. I think Michael Fassbender really is one of the best actors alive. I think he has come of age, and he is just an extraordinary presence. And I really think Steve McQueen has come leaps and bounds with Shame. Now, he that self-indulgent side where he just wants everything to be really beautiful and really artsy, it's finally in the service of a story here. And it's an interesting story. Michael Fassbender plays a guy who is, even though he has a very professional career, he's an executive in New York. He's a sex addict, and he has he's addicted to pornography and to any gratification that he can find, and it's a real problem, and it starts to eat his life alive. Carey Mulligan plays his sister, who's got her own problems. She's kind of a lounge singer, and she's got her own, substance abuse issues and her own issues with men. And it's a character study. There are scenes in this film on the subway where you will get a clinic in what screen acting is all about. Michael Fassbender does. It's all in the eyes, it's all in the face, it's all in the body language. It is mesmerizing. The film is beautifully shot, deeply disturbing, and very deservedly rated NC-17. However, there is a PG-13 version of this that consists of the opening and closing titles, which is very nice. It's about 6 minutes long. But no, this is not for the faint of heart, not for everybody. Bear in mind, you're going to see a very, very explicit film, and it's not even the sexual explicitness of the film that's so disturbing. It's how raw it is emotionally. It really is. It puts you through a meat grinder, and at a certain point, it's a very, very tough film to watch. Not because it's explicit, but because the emotions are so unbelievably frayed. Very deservedly NC-17, but on this Blu-ray DVD combo, it is a spectacular transfer, and I don't often say that about things that come from 20th Century Fox, but they nailed it here. So for once, Fox, you didn't just phone it in.
That's right. Shame is not recommended for all of our listeners.
No.
Only because it is quite explicit, but
yes,
if you are ready for such such difficult fare, you'll be rewarded.
Very true.
Very true.
And a great foreign film this week that I really want to give a plug for, from Music Box Films. This deserves highest praise. This didn't get enough attention at the end of the year just because Music Box doesn't really go out and market their films for awards like a lot of other distributors do, but they get a lot of good stuff. And Young Goethe in Love, the story of how the great German poet Goethe actually sort of became Goethe. The story of the first great legendary love that helped this kind of loser young guy become a legendary poet is a wonderful, wonderful story. This is a beautiful 18th century period film, fabulously well written, very smart, beautifully directed, fabulously well photographed, and I'm so sorry that Music Box didn't put this out on Blu-ray. Hopefully they will soon. If you can't wait, definitely watch it on DVD. Probably rent it because I'm going to recommend when they finally come out with the Blu-ray, and I'm highly urging them to do so. I'm going to recommend the Blu-ray because this film it needs to be on Blu-ray. It absolutely needs to be. There are extras here. There's a little making-of featurette and a thing on the visual effects, which isn't much, and then some trailers. But what a lovely, sweet, smart, romantic, touching film. And yes, it means to sort of be a little bit evocative of Shakespeare in Love, but so what? It's in the same ballpark.
Wade, as we wrap it up, we got a couple more things for you. One is another Blu-ray that celebrates Universal's 100th anniversary. This is Abbott and Costello and Buck Privates. Now, Abbott and Costello, if you do not know, they were a extremely popular comedy duo in the 40s and 50s, and they were pretty much beloved through the decades. Even after they died, they were, still pretty famous. People loved them. They're a little bit out of favor now, but Abbott and Costello were very funny. You may know them from their Who's on First routine, which was one of the classic, verbal ping pong matches ever. They're so funny in that. But after they had done a bunch of radio performing and a bunch of stage performing, they did finally make it to film with Buck Privates. And this is a pretty funny film. I'm not a huge fan of Abbott and Costello. I don't know why. I never really got into them, although I do love the verbal jousting that they do. This film is funny, and it is one of 3 films they did with the Andrews Sisters, a famous female singing group at the time. And, I didn't realize when I first popped this in that the film is up for 2 Oscars, including, Wade, you realize that one of the Oscars this film was up for was original song.
Yeah.
And the song was Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy from Company B.
Isn't that amazing?
From the Andrews Sisters.
Who knew?
I had no idea that came from this movie.
I didn't either.
But anyway, there's some great featurettes, including their efforts to restore their classic films and the Carl Laemmle era. Of course, Universal began sort of with Carl Laemmle, and now, of course, that's sort of transmogrified into the Laemmle Theater chain. Universal, of course, is now part of the NBC family. And there's also something about Abbott Costello with Jerry Seinfeld, which is kind of funny, but it shows how Jerry Seinfeld loves Abbott Costello enough to put himself on this Blu-ray. And it's good stuff. It comes in a little book, one of those little booklet thingies, and it's nice. Abbott Costello and Buck Privates.
Good
funny
deal.
Stuff. Finally, we have a Roger Corman Cult Classics. This is a series of not Blu-rays, DVDs that celebrate the classic and sometimes not so classic output of producer, director, writer, impresario, cheapskate Roger Corman.
Cheapskate.
Here we have the Nurses Collection. He did a lot of softcore porn type stuff, including Night Call Nurses, Candy Stripe Nurses, Private Duty Nurses, and The Young Nurses.
Oh,
and
yeah.
all of those are on this DVD. All
Fantastic.
these movies are low budget and really bad, but they are totally indicative of the Corman output during that time, especially in the genre. And it's funny stuff.
Good deal. All right, well, with that, we have nailed it. We've got a few other things that are going to spill over to next week, but you'll love it because we're going to have Criterions galore next week. It's going to be a good week. If you need to get us again, remember, we are at gods@digigods.com. Send in your Voxbox, send in your email questions, and we do our best to answer everything that we can. Otherwise, visit the Facebook page and join the discussions at the Facebook page, the Digigods Facebook page. We'll see you next week.